reviewing what the essay is about, here is the assignment. So our assignment is to write a literary analysis essay, which is 4 paragraphs at a minimum and 6 paragraphs at a maximum, in which you analyze how Zadie Smith, the author, uses literary devices or other elements to express a theme about coping with emotional turmoil in the short story Martha, Martha. And you can come up with your own theme, but we did brainstorm a couple. 2 that I saw in the collaborative work that you guys did that were pretty common were that sometimes people run away from their problems, which creates even more emotional turmoil. And then another theme I saw was people cope with emotional turmoil in different ways. And then the literary devices that people put in their paragraphs earlier in the collaborative work and the independent work were setting, conflict, character foil, that would be for compare and contrast between Pam and Martha, character, symbolism, and figurative language. So on Monday, we went through and we found some evidence and we sampled, we put together a sample body paragraph. So we decided as I was modeling to use this theme here, that when a person runs away from their emotions, as Martha did, sometimes those emotions build into more turmoil. And we said that in the short story, the author uses setting, character, and symbolism. And I did tell you that if you wanted to borrow that thesis statement, you could. So then I modeled a body paragraph for you the other day, and we did that one on setting, and we came up with some evidence. And now what we'd have to do is wrap it all up into a pretty little bow, bring it to an end, leave our reader feeling satisfied, and give them something to think about on their way out, if you will. So I'm going to share this slideshow. This is the same slideshow that was about introductions that I referred to the other day. It's in the Google Classroom with the assignment. And so I'm just going to scroll forward to this section on conclusions. Conclusions are the second hardest thing to write in an essay. And students tell me all the time, once we get over the introduction part and we get the body written, then they say, oh, I don't know how to end. And a lot of times they give me one sentence. So that's how the author shows the theme in the story, something like that. But that doesn't tell the reader very much. And in fact, it's kind of a waste of your typing because I know you already told me that. So don't tell me that again. And I'm not being negative. I'm just saying that, I wouldn't waste your time that way. So why do we have to have a conclusion anyway? Well, we want to summarize for our reader, help them kind of see what those main points were and repeat those main points in a new way to help them understand. We want to maybe encourage our reader or motivate them or inspire them, give them a reason for having read your paper. Maybe we're trying to convince them of something or challenge them in some way. And we definitely want to make a connection between our paper or our topic and the reader themselves. We want to make it relevant to them so that they feel like they haven't wasted their time reading it. We want to make text to self connections and text to world connections because everyone deals with emotional turmoil. So our theme can connect to any reader and the larger world. So we're going to see, how do we do this? Well, we do it in 3 parts. So your conclusion should have a minimum of 3 sentences, okay? And maybe more, depending on how many sentences you need to say each part. So the first is the literal stuff. Summarize what you already said in new words. So what did you say? So kind of a repetition, but you're going to do it in new words so it doesn't feel repetitive. The second part of your conclusion is interpretive. So what does it mean? So, and I will give you examples of all of this. And then the third part is universal. Here's where you make that text to world connection. This is the so what. Why does it matter that this character doesn't know how to deal with her emotions and has a breakdown? Why do I care? I mean, who am I? I don't care. I'll deal with my emotions, leave me alone, So we want to make the reader care and help them understand. So when you do the literal part, you're summarizing your main points, okay? Maybe you're going to loop back to your introduction. Maybe you're going to loop back to the thesis statement and rephrase it using new words, okay? And you're going to stick to the main points. Your conclusion needs no evidence. So like I can take my book and I can put it away. I'm not going to add new evidence in my conclusion. Okay. And I'm not going to start a new topic. I've been talking about setting and symbolism and character. I'm not going to start talking about irony now, because that introduces something new that's going to leave my reader feeling confused. So interpretive is really the answer to the question, how did those main points work together to help you conclude that that was the theme, right? How did the setting and the character and the symbolism all kind of come together into one puzzle piece or one puzzle that helped me see the overall vision of the theme, okay? And then the universal, why does it matter? Make it relevant for me. Oh, and that's the end. So let's model this. Let's take the last few minutes that we have together and let's write a conclusion for our paper. Now, I only have one body paragraph because I only modeled one with you. So I'm going to have to kind of make some stuff up in the conclusion as we go. But what I really want to do is loop back to my introduction. A conclusion creates a real circle. An outline is a line. It goes from the introduction to the conclusion. A real essay is a circle because we start with the introduction, we provide the evidence, and then we come back. We come back to that main point. So I'm going to read the introduction out loud, refresh my memory about what I've been talking about, and then I'm going to start with the literal statement in my conclusion. Oftentimes, people keep their emotions bottled up inside to avoid stress. Although this feels good at the time, it usually ends up badly with the person exploding like a shaken bottle of pop. This is the case for Martha, a young woman who moves from London to New York to escape the loss of her family. And I actually am wrong. She moved to Massachusetts. I don't know why I put New York there. And I'm going to spell this wrong. So I think that's right. Let's see. Oh, it is. To escape the loss of her family. In the short story, Martha, Martha, author Zadie Smith uses setting, character, and symbolism to show that when a person runs away from their emotions as Martha did, sometimes those emotions build into more turmoil. Okay. And I talked about setting. Martha ran away from her feelings. Martha was faced with having to make a decision and didn't know how, and so began to see her breakdown. So I'm going to kind of change how this looks here. Oh, wait. Oh, I started that paragraph. That's right. Okay. So what I want to do is scroll to the bottom, and I'm going to say, just in skipping ahead to the conclusion, you should still have at least 2 full body paragraphs. I don't want anyone to get confused by the model in the paragraphs. Okay. All right. So indenting my first line of the paragraph. So that I want to do something literal here. I'm going to tell my reader a summary of my main point. So my main point here is that the literary elements, you have to come up with your own words, Bea, but you can use the concepts and the ideas, okay? So literal means tell me what you already told me. So I want to say the Martha, like many of us, like many, I don't want to say us because I'm trying to keep it in the third person. Martha, like many people in real life, experiences a breakdown after keeping her emotions bottled up inside. Now, that's pretty much repeating what I said in the introduction. So that is literal, because literally what I said before, just with different words. But I need to bring my literary devices in here. So remember, I said the second part was interpretive. What does it mean? How do those things, the literary devices that we talked about, work together to help us understand that theme? So it's like putting a puzzle together. Each literary device is a little piece. And now I'm looking at a whole picture, and the whole picture is the theme. So I'm going to say author Zadie Smith, using setting, character, and symbolism, creates a vision of a young woman who, I'm painting the whole picture now, right? I'm putting my puzzle pieces together. Okay, who runs from her emotions by moving to a new home because to start a new life. That's character, to start a new life. But when faced with the you guys, I just want you to know this is what real writers do. So if you struggle like this and you don't know what you're writing, I want you to see that even your English teacher struggles with putting her words down. So this is what all writers go through. But when faced with, now I'm thinking symbolism. Author Zadie Smith, using setting, character, and symbolism, creates a vision of a young woman who runs from her emotions by moving to a new home to start a new life. But when faced with the, symbolic, but when faced with her memories, finally allows her emotions to bubble to the surface. All right, so that's what it means. So it means that because she was running, setting, and because she was trying to start a new life, character, she wanted something more. And I might have said by moving to a new home because she wanted something more, that might even express her desires or her character better. But when faced with her memories, so she's faced with the symbols of things that remind her of things, finally allows her emotions to bubble to the surface in a I said breakdown already. And what was the word I used in my introduction? So I always want to go back to my introduction. Explosion. I'm going to use, because I used an explosion, in a tearful explosion. Okay. All right. Now, so I've done the literal. I've told you what I told you before. I've tied it all together into a sentence that is interpretive. And now I need the universal. Why does the reader care about what happened to this fictional character? Well, I kind of started my universal up here. I knew I was going to need this by saying, like many people in real life, I've already begun to tie this fictional story, this fictional character of Martha, to the real world. So I'm sort of already bridging out. So here, I really want to make it clear to the reader, okay? So Martha is no different than many people. Throughout life, when people keep their emotions, emotional turmoil, I'm going to use that because that was part of the prompt, inside, they may find themselves in an even more emotional situation, period. So now I have made it about the reader, okay? So that's it. That's my conclusion. It's 4 sentences long, but it has a lot of information in it. It has the literal stuff. It has looped back to the introduction and the ideas in the introduction. It has tied the literary devices together and said what they mean and how they create the larger vision of a theme. And it is closed by tying it directly to the reader and why the reader cares. Don't bottle your feelings up inside, because then you're going to find yourself in a worse situation, basically. All right, you guys, I am going to stop recording now, and we have only 2 minutes left. So